Hey, how's it going, guys? Ricky Summer here, and today I've come back in time to talk about the very last Night City Wire. But first, a message from our sponsor.
Love Punk. Window shopping for humans.
Alright, last Night City Wire, and to be TBH with you, listen, not a lot going on. Like, they talked about the music. I mean, Keanu Reeves said cunt. I'm pretty sure Keanu Reeves in a mocap suit is gonna be a meme. I feel like they're already working on it, you know? If by the time this video goes up, if there aren't memes of Keanu Reeves in a mocap suit, the internet has failed me. It's failed you. It's failed all of us collectively, and I think we can decide that the world has ended at that time. Anyway, they talked about the music, which is cool. They said they want to take the musical direction away from, like, you know, an 80s aesthetic, which I think I agree with. I see their reasoning. I see why they may have done it, rather. And I think that's a good choice. You know, despite the fact that I'm obsessed with the 80s and I like synthwave and I make synthwave, but I think it's wise for them to detach from that very specific niche of 80s nostalgia music, trying to picture what it would look like to have like the bog standard synthwave-esque kind of music in Cyberpunk. I don't think it would fit because it's very distinctly cyberpunk as a genre. I would describe it as like high-tech cyberpunk as opposed to low-tech. These are just words that I'm pulling out of my ass, by the way, just so you understand where I'm coming from here. Blade Runner, I would call low-tech cyberpunk. Cyberpunk 2077, I would call high-tech cyberpunk. You know, Blade Runner, like, it was made in the 80s, so you can't get around that. It's the 80s vision of what the future looks like, and that's very, very cool, and I love that aesthetic, and I love living in 2020 and looking back on their vision of the future all those years ago. But Cyberpunk 2077 is the vision of the future from 2020. There's no way around that. That's what it is by definition. So I think it makes sense to evolve the music as well. So they've specifically said they're going for a 90s flair, which I think kind of works for me because my perception, at least, and I keep saying my perception because that's I mean, we're not talking about facts here. We're talking about how I specifically see certain styles and genres. I'm a 90s kid. I was born in late 1990. I missed out on the 80s, so my view of the 80s is corrupted. It's imperfect, it's not accurate. It's a view of the nostalgia, not of the way it actually was. So having grown up in the 90s, which, keep in mind, I was like 10 in the year 2000, so my memory of the 90s is also imperfect, but you know, I did experience it, unlike the 80s. So my perception of the 90s is that it was eclectic and kitschy, maybe even more so than the 80s. I think to me the 90s is just like color and just let's go nuts. It's nothing makes sense, nothing connects to itself. You got grunge and you got people who was still, you know, looking like a friggin' crayon box. So, you know, 90s music, EDM, techno, the stuff that we heard on the radio growing up, I can deal with it. To me, that feels more dystopian cyberpunk, more so than like dreamy, nostalgic 80s music would. So yeah, I'm into that. They've mentioned that they're trying to use mostly analog synths for that warm sound. That may not mean anything to you, but to me that's exciting. Does it make a huge difference? Probably not. Most people probably wouldn't notice or care, but just, you know, as a synth and music nerd myself, that kind of tickles me. Alright, so look, I've gone on for like 10 minutes or so just talking about the music, after having said there really wasn't a lot going on in the actual Night City Wire. But that's what you get. That's what you get when you give musical stuff to a musician and producer. You know, his guns to talk about it. My intent for this video was talking about the trailer, because there's a lot more gameplay, information, clarifications of some things in the trailer. We got to see some screenshots of like the augmentation screen, which I thought was really cool, and a couple of skills that I'd like to look at a little bit with you guys. First and foremost, the story. So they said in the trailer, so I'm not gonna, like, I feel like this is not spoilers because they've detailed this in the trailer, but the setup for the story, it seems, is that you're tasked with stealing a chip, some sort of prototype chip from this corporation, and something goes wrong and the chip's about to like self-destruct or degrade or something, and the only way to save it is to put it in your own head. it just so happens that an image of Johnny Silverhand, Keanu Reeves, is in this chip, so now he's in your head. And that explains why we, as the player, as V, can see Johnny Silverhand, but no one else can. And he's encouraging us to, like, take down this corporation who made the chip. What I'm thinking from this is, like, is the main story to do what Johnny Silverhand says? I'm thinking that's probably what's going to happen. Will we have the option to, like, defy him, to not do what he says? I don't know. I'm kind of suspecting maybe not. I think that's going to be, like, that's going to be the driving force for the story. It's going to probably be pretty linear in that we have to, you know, do the missions. We have to complete the missions that he gives us. I think the freedom is going to be, you know, around that. So it's like the backbone of the story, and everything that goes on around that is where we're going to have freedom, side quests and side activities and whatnot. And you know what? That's fine. As long as we have the option to mostly ignore the quest, the main story, that'd be great. You know, for a second playthrough or something, I don't necessarily want to do all that main story stuff again. So, like, after the intro, if we can just ignore all that, I'm into it. Now, let's talk about some of the little glimpses of screens that we saw here. So I'm going to bring up some images. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the cyberware screen that we got a little bit of a glimpse at. So we've got, as of this screen, now I don't know if it's going to be expanded beyond this. I'm kind of suspecting that this is maybe the limits of what we can install in terms of slots, because we are actually seeing in the circulatory system here, there are 2 slots free. In the immune system, there's 1 slot free. So I'm kind of thinking maybe this is the max, but I don't know. We'll see. There could be a system for expanding the number of slots. I'm just speculating. I don't know. So the frontal cortex in this image has 3 slots. We've got an ocular system with 1 slot, which makes sense, I guess. Like, you're probably not going to be able to, and it probably wouldn't make sense to, like, load up 5 mods just on your eyes. The frontal cortex, like, there's no labels here, so we're just sort of guessing at what we're looking at. So we've got, like, oh man, I don't know. I'm not going to guess at what this sort of stuff is, but frontal cortex, like, maybe hacking stuff, I don't know. Stuff we control with our mind. Circulatory system. This looks like maybe some sort of like injector thing into our nervous system, like adrenaline or something, I don't know. Immune system, nervous system. There looks like something attached to the spine there. Nervous system. Look, I don't know. Listen, I didn't study anatomy. I don't know how the body works. You know, body go brr. That's where I'm at currently. The integumentary system. Now, what's funny is when I went to Google this, it auto-completed. So I reckon a lot of people have watched this trailer, and they've immediately searched it. So that just pertains to the skin. So what we're looking at here is like different, I guess, kind of like skin replacements or I don't want to say exoskeleton, but yeah, skin replacements, I guess is the best way to put that. We've got 3 slots for that. That's very interesting. So I imagine it's, I mean, there's going to be cosmetic implications. Like, I don't know if we're going to be able to be fully silver, but we have seen characters in trailers. So there are characters in the game that are fully decked out, like fully metallic skin, which is very cool. Very creepy. I mean, I've mentioned this several times. Like the whole body horror thing of replacing your body, replacing limbs and whatnot. It's cool. It's very creepy to me. I find it horrifying. So that's interesting. If we're actually going to be able to like completely replace our skin, that would be cool. I'm not sure. Like, it's showing a shoulder, and I think that's just a visual representation. I think that's pretty clear. I don't know what kind of control we have over, like, whether we're replacing the skin all over our body. That might be the case. It's probably the case. I'm just spitballing. Anyway, operating system. That's very interesting. That has huge implications for me. Operating system. Does that mean that we can change the look of the HUD? I kind of feel like that's maybe not what they're going for here. It's maybe like a hacker suite or something like that. You know, that's probably what they mean by operating system. But if it actually changed the look of the HUD as well, I'd be very excited by that. Anyway, like, give me Windows. Give me freaking Windows on my bod. Give me Linux. Let me be a Linux man. Why not? Let's go for it. 2 slots for skeleton. So I imagine it's just like, I mean, we've got what looks like maybe an elbow or some sort of joint mechanism. Yeah, some like more powerful punching and maybe jumping, that sort of thing. Hands, like electrocuting or hacking, I guess. Arms, and it's got the one that's slotted here is the Mantis Blades, which, I mean, they're friggin' wild, but I'm not really into them. I think they're a little over the top. Legs, specifically. I'm not seeing arms. I'm not seeing... No, yeah, they are. They're right there. The Mantis Blades, yeah. Don't worry. Don't mind me. I can be very observant, but when I get excited, it's, you know, everything flies past me. Okay, let's go into the next image. We've got a look at the character screen here. So it looks like we've got 5 skills, ability skills, yeah, like skill trees, maybe. Are there more later on? I don't know. This is just what we can see at the moment. We've got body, reflexes, technical ability, intelligence, and cool. I love that. I love that as an idea. So body, I'm guessing endurance, strength, reflexes, agility, like whatever pertains to action points in other games. Agility, yeah, you get it. Technical ability, you know, hacking, maybe some sort of crafting. Is it crafting in the game? Crafting. Is it going to be crafting? What can I craft in the game? In Cyberpunk 2077, you can craft new items, modify existing ones, primarily weapons and other elements of equipment, and disassemble equipment. Crafting covers most types of items available in the game. Unfortunately, you won't be able to create new clothes and implants. Okay, so I wonder if maybe technical ability will incorporate modifying, or if it's just something that we inherently have the ability to do, or maybe we do it through an NPC. I'm not super clear on that. I can't remember if they've mentioned that. We've got intelligence, which is self-explanatory, and cool, which I imagine is going to be like charisma. But you know, Cyberpunk 2077 and charisma. So not just like, hey, I've taken an NLP course. It's more, I've taken an NLP course, and also maybe I'm shooting pheromones out of my eyeballs. You know, it's got these little tagged skills, like these little tabs there. You see that above reflexes? I wonder if that's just showing us what we've got selected in reflexes. And to that end, does that mean we only have a limited number of like skills that we can use, or we can like assign per tree? I'm really not sure about that. Handguns, blades, rifles, unless that's just pertaining to like, maybe it's just our weapons. Our weapon skills show up at the top there. I don't know. We don't know anything about that yet. I don't know anything about that yet, at least. Okay, so we go into reflexes, and it's showing us rifles, handguns, and blades. Okay, so I just took a couple of screenshots here as they were mousing over some of the skills, and they know what they're doing. They know that we're going to pick this stuff apart. So it's all pretty stock standard, you know, stuff that you would expect here. In rifles, we've got Bullseye, which is a passive ability, increases rifle damage while aiming by 10%. Okay, moving on. They went over to the Blades tab, and this is exciting. I wasn't really hyped up for melee combat. It interests me, but I feel like most games don't do it justice. Now, we know that I don't think they necessarily delayed the game for this reason, but they did mention at one point that they weren't personally satisfied, like a few months ago, they weren't personally satisfied with the way melee combat felt, so they were fixing that up. That gives me hope, you know, that they're actually trying to do something cool with it, that they're trying to make it feel good, because I think that's where most games fail, for lack of a better term. Not to sound too down on the subject, but yeah, the feel of melee is important. It needs to feel good, it needs to feel weighty, but not too clunky as well. It needs to feel fluid but weighty, and hopefully that's what we get, but that's all just, you know, hope and speculation. Anyway, so Flight of the Sparrow. Passive, reduces the stamina cost of all attacks with blades by 50%. Like super bog standard stuff that you would expect in any RPG. We've got Slow and Steady, passive. Armor is increased by 15 while moving, and the next level of it, armor is increased by 30 while moving. Now that excites me a great deal. Is that something, like how easy is it going to be to get that skill without like going main into blades? If I want to be a rifle boy or a handguns boy and like run and gun, you know, so while I'm running, I'm more durable, that'd be so rad. And then you're getting close and like you pull out a shotty or like a big railgun and that's what I want. So, I mean, we don't really know how this is structured yet. It's looking like maybe we go from the top, but that's not necessarily the case. Some of these skills look like they're blocked off. So where do you start? I don't see it. I don't know. It doesn't look like we start at the bottom because that's grayed out as well. So maybe we just pick one starter. I don't know. Or maybe one of the blue ones is where we start, or one of the yellow ones is where we start. It's unclear. I'm not seeing that. You guys let me know in the comments if you can see like a pattern here of like, you look at this image and you go, yep, definitely that's the starting skill. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it personally. Okay, let's keep going. We've got offensive defense, another passive ability. Defensive attacks with blades deal 200% more damage. Defensive attacks with blades. What the fuck does that mean? Defensive attacks with blades. Okay, I mean, this is giving me hope that maybe the melee combat system is deeper than I would have expected. I'm expecting like Fallout 4, you know, attack, heavy attack, block. Like, you know, that's kind of what we've come to expect in these first-person RPGs when it comes to melee. But if there's a little more involved, maybe they encourage you to be light on your feet, dodge a little bit. Maybe there's a few more attacks, maybe based on direction. I don't know, I'm just speculating. That'd be very cool. I'd be into that. A defensive attack. I can't even pass that logically in my brain. What is a defensive attack? I'm not a swordsman. Anyway, moving on. All right, so they highlighted a couple of different, I guess, focuses or classes, maybe builds, such as a Netrunner, which will be able to hack. I didn't even think of this. Would be able to hack other people because like everyone's got implants, right? So why wouldn't you be able to hack them? That being said, if you've got implants, why wouldn't you turn your Wi-Fi off so people can't hack you? But maybe you can't do that. It's a cyberpunk future. You got no control over anything. You got no control over your OS install. You got no control over your friggin' car operating system. You got no control over your body. That's cyberpunk, baby. It's the year 2020, it's the year we currently live in. Alright, so one of the things they showed off was the ability to hack people, hack NPCs, and we've got a representation here. We can do breach protocol, which I don't know what that does. Reboot optics, which I imagine blinds them maybe, or could debuff their eyes possibly, like if they've got ocular enhancements, maybe we can just straight up turn those off. That'd be very cool. And this one, suicide. So now we're basically like, this connection has now been made in my brain. Netrunners in Cyberpunk 2077 are illusion magic users in the Elder Scrolls. That's friggin' dope. Yes, I definitely want to have a character at some point that's full stealth and just goes around and like makes people kill themselves, which is incredibly dark. But I'll allow it. Okay, moving on. All right, so that's it for the specific things I picked out of the gameplay trailer. Honestly, I'm into it. I'm excited. I'm kind of a weird dude. I want information. I don't care about the pretty flashing lights and whatnot. It's nice. Yeah, it's cool to see it. It's a beautiful looking world and I can't wait to be in it. But I want deets. You know, give me the deets. And in a mad twist of events, this time the trailer was the one that gave us the deets. And I'm feeling very satisfied. I'm full. You can see it. You can feel it right there. That's a full stomach full of cyberpunk deets. And I'm ready. The last Night City Wire, we're on the home stretch now. It's less than a month, guys. It's less than a freaking month. 1, 2, 3. It's 3 weeks away. You friggin' serious? Alright guys, so let me know in the comments, is there anything that you picked out in the trailer or the full Night City Wire that really piqued your interest that I didn't talk about? Let's get it going. Let's start talking Cyberpunk 2077. I'm ready. I got a new computer. I didn't think it would happen. We got the new PC. We're gonna blow through Cyberpunk. We're gonna be tracing rays, but for the moment, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to gently caress that like button. Be excellent to each other. And where are my glasses? Be excellent to each other and I'll see you next time. Ricky Summer, out.